the club also made a number of mistakes in the transfer market. It looked like they did not have any would I say direction, or they did not have any plan. I mean, you bring in a coach hoping to continue from where Simone Inzaghi has left off, and you brought in a Christian Kivu who plays a similar system, maybe slightly varied from Inzaghi.
What has happened since we last gathered here? Lamine Yamal has finished second in the Ballon d'Or. Even though a lot of us do not agree with the Ballon d'Or, at least Dembele won, and the remaining places they can fight it among themselves. But the Ballon d'Or has caused a lot of, would I say, rift or controversy. There have been a lot of attacks on Yamal's personality, Barcelona's influence on the game. And I just want you guys to just, in a free mind and in a free spirit, let's hear what you feel about the Ballon d'Or place,
All right, so
Let me start with you, then
I
others
don't
can follow.
even know where to start, because it's a tricky one if you ask me, because was Ousmane Dembele a deserved winner? Totally. Ousmane Dembele totally deserved to win. But you would still make some arguments for Lamine Yamal's position on that, on that ranking. For me, he shouldn't have been second, and this is just my own actual opinion. If you like, call me.
You shouldn't have been third either.
Like, call me hater, I don't care. But I don't think he should have been second. I think Rafinha had a better season than him. In fact, when it comes to players having a good season, I think Rafinha is the closest to Dembele. But when you bring, discussions like this up, people often mistake it for, they always think that you're saying that Rafinha is a better player than Yamal. That to me is not true. If you compare them talent by talent, Yamal is a fantastic player. I think that over time he's going to eclipse whatever Rafinha has done, and in fact he's going to be almost on the same level with some of the all-time greats. But in terms of what was achieved in the 2024-2025 season,
25 season,
I think that Rafinha had a better season and should have been on that podium.
JD, the way JD is smiling.
While I agree with the winner, I do not totally agree with the rankings per se. You cannot tell me that you are ranking the best players. What actually are you ranking? Is it individual brilliance that you are rewarding, or team performance? If it is individual brilliance, then Rafinha should have finished way ahead of Lamine Yamal. Rafinha had a fantastic season. You cannot but consider the numbers he had. And where was Harry Kane on that? Where was Kylian Mbappe on that? Where was Lautaro Martinez on? I just do not understand what this.
Martinez finished 20th.
It's a shame that
Martinez finished below Gyökeres.
Can you imagine?
He finished behind Gyökeres. You can imagine. Martinez was literally one of the best players in Europe last season. Forget the fact that Inter ended up not winning anything. You cannot just take anything away from him. Consider Harry Kane. Check his numbers and come back to tell me that he didn't deserve to finish higher than he actually did. Mbappe, I can make the same case for him. So I really do not understand what criteria they bring into considering who the best player in the world. While I'm not disputing that Dembele was a deserved winner, I feel that some of the rankings that follow should have been kind of different.
Ahmed, Tijani Reinders did not make top 3, so...
well, as for me, there are quite a number of
people. Beloved.
Personally, can never get right. There are many factors individual. As personally, with the Rafinha and Yamal, I believe Pedri was very important part of Barcelona's team last year.
As well, from where to where?
Performance-wise, with how much he was always at the game. I played way more games than any other of the guys.
Did you say Pedri?
Yes.
Yes, Pedri.
Yes, Pedri.
Are you making an argument for a Ballon, a podium placing for Pedri?
I don't understand either.
That is the point I said. There are many factors that goes into our choice when it comes to awarding players comment of the season. As for me, I would
it's not like I mean,
like it has
I'm sorry to cut you, but I don't think it's like Pedri. Pedri, a podium placing for Pedri.
Then it means we are putting numbers ahead of talent now.
Attackers are always overcompensated when it comes to ranking individual awards.
I
make a case for Vitinha.
I will still make a case for Vitinha and Donnarumma over Pedri. I'll make a case for Vitinha and Donnarumma over Pedri, and they are not attackers.
Pedri gave more to Barcelona last season compared to both of Lamine Yamal and Rafinha. So you can never get it right with awarding individual players at the end of the season, because I think unanimously a lot of agreed with the Dembele choice, but we would always disagree on the second, third, and fourth positions, because I even felt Pedri had a better season than both of them. Meanwhile, he's not among those that are listed for this. Away from that, I think over the years in recent times, the quality of the contenders for this award has dropped significantly. Not yes, having the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, Kaka, you understand? Dembele, yes, this is no disrespect to what he accomplished last season. But
Ahmed, sorry to cut you
I don't know
in.
why we're always biased towards players
Sorry
that
to
have
cut
gone
you in.
past.
I
I
think
really do not
even
understand.
the Messi and Ronaldo, the Messi and Ronaldo era, I
yes,
think it was overstretched.
it was never
There
overstretched.
were it was
It was never
overstretched. There were
overstretched.
years where those two guys were not the most impactful player in the world.
That's true.
Definitely. So if a Schneider could end up not winning the World Ballon d'Or with his 2010 performance, are you telling me what Dembele did was
He
close to
didn't
what
have a
Schneider
podium finish. He
accomplished
didn't
that year?
finish on the
That was
podium.
exactly what I meant by
Time,
the
See,
time
quality
and
has dropped
chance.
off.
Time and
See,
chance.
no matter how you look at it, goals are always going to be important in football. Because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you are playing football to win games. And what makes you win games? Goals. Either you are scoring them or you are keeping them out. So goals will always be important.
But it was
The
never like
players
that
that
before.
contribute to those
It wasn't
goals
like that
are the
before.
ones that will be rated higher in terms of, individual. I'm sorry?
Are you saying it's been
I
like
didn't hear
that
you.
from? It has never been like that. That's just a new trend.
I think it's been like that for the better part of the last 2 decades, if you ask me. And last 2 decades was 2005. 2005, I think it
Football
was
didn't
Andriy
start 2 decades
Shevchenko.
ago.
After
Football
that,
did
it
not start two
was
decades
maybe
ago.
Ronaldinho. I think it
Ballon
was
d'Or has been in
Ronaldinho and then
existence since the
Shevchenko.
90s.
Ronaldinho and
Ballon d'Or has
Shevchenko.
been in
And then
existence
after
since the
that Kaka
1960s.
era, when Messi and Ronaldo took over, it became about goals. That's the truth. It became
I think
about
Messi
goals
and Ronaldo
since
are to blame
Ronaldo
for
and
this.
Messi took over.
But not when Modric won
We
it.
have to put this blame on Ronaldo and Messi.
Well,
They changed the
outlier, if
dynamics
you
of the
ask me.
award.
It happened.
I
Anyways,
think
Ballon
there was
d'Or
no
has said
sympathy
from
winning
last
Ballon
It's
d'Or.
year,
criminal
they
to
said
imagine that a
the
player like
award is
It's criminal to imagine that a player like Salah or Mane or Harry Kane has not won the Ballon d'Or. Then we have a Dembele. Like I said again, this is not fair to what
Time
he
and chance.
accomplished
Time
last
and
season.
chance.
time
Did he
and
just say
chance.
Sadio
The
Mane?
quality
Did he
has
just
really
say
dropped
Mane?
Let me
off.
tell
That's
you why.
the point
Let
I'm
me
trying
tell
to
you why
make.
Salah. Let me tell you why Salah did not win Ballon d'Or. The year that Liverpool won Champions League, the club chose to push Virgil van Dijk over Salah or Mane.
Salah who still wouldn't have won
Sometimes
over Messi.
we have to look at it from the angle of Barcelona chose to push Lamine Yamal over Rafinha. Madrid has pitched their tent with Mbappe now. Sometimes the clubs are the ones that undo some of their players. The year that Liverpool won the Champions League, Van Dijk was the name everywhere. For what reason? As how?
I mean, that's true. If you
Fortunately,
remember very well, Van Dijk was the one that
I
as
had all
still,
the
how?
I still,
PR. Same thing with Yamal,
But
for example.
I still feel that
Last
Salah wouldn't
year,
have
yes,
I
won
mean,
though.
Rafinha had better numbers. Rafinha did well last season, but Yamal got all the PR.
JD, if
Has there been
Liverpool
any
had
instance where
pushed
another
Salah's
player won
PR,
where Messi was in his
Salah
prime,
would have
aside
won,
Ronaldo?
even if it's based on pity. See, if Liverpool had pushed another African Ballon d'Or agenda, I tell you, voters would have keyed into it. Look, this thing is psychological warfare.
Not against Messi.
Before this voting started
Definitely not
or
against
ended,
Messi.
Well, it might be
Perez
difficult
took.
against Messi, but I don't think it's not impossible. I don't think it's
It's
impossible,
not
rather.
impossible.
I don't think it's impossible, rather. It's not impossible.
Anyways,
Chances are
moving
too
on from
slim.
Ballon d'Or, Mikel Arteta said
We're back on
Mikel
this
Arteta
Arsenal
said
matter again.
This guy again. What
all
is he
the
saying this time?
CEOs in the world were calling him to congratulate him
For what?
for getting a draw against Man City.
Oh my
And
word. Why is Cass not on this show? I miss Cass.
I don't know if we are now in Hollywood, but
I wish Cass was here.
Arteta is feeling fly for getting a draw against Man City.
In the 93rd
I mean,
minute.
come on, guys. In the 93rd minute, come on, guys. It was the home team.
That's
It was the home team. He didn't go for the match
that's a
until the
new low.
second half. And now you're everywhere feeling good. And you're 5 points behind Liverpool already.
After just
In
5
the
games.
race, this early morning.
I think that his
Liverpool
biggest
are up there
problem
for a
is that
reason.
he still sees Man City as that Man City that we used to know. that's all conquering Man City. Not knowing that Man City have actually fallen off, by quite a bit. And if you ask me, going into that game, Arsenal were actually favourites. So for you to
Yes.
go into a game as favourites and then come out with a draw and then start celebrating that draw, it says so much about your mentality as a coach and as a team, if you ask me.
Everyone sees that except for
And as
Samson
an
and Ateta.
institution,
Mentality goes a long way in football. But definitely
Ateta,
it
my
was the
guy.
balance of play on the balance of play. A draw is the least they should have come out of it, according to the balance of play, because we had start the game. But you shouldn't come out with a draw and start congratulating yourself at the
Exactly.
which takes me to the
But how?
statement Arne Slot made on what's it called? Ekitike's goal
Ekitike.
celebration after scoring just a winner. Imagine, that was no Champions League final, that was no FA Cup final, that was no title decided.
That was just the EFL Cup.
Any other game, any
games.
season,
It was
scored
not even
and
Premier
put
League.
your jersey.
It was not even Premier League.
You scored and put your jersey to celebrate, only to end the second yellow. So I love how Arne Slot dig into that.
He has been
actually
top 2
scolded him
weeks
for that, and he was fine for it. That is the mentality going into the season with. If you are looking to conquer, they are at the top of the table. It is not by luck or by chance.
Why everyone blames
So
Ateta?
if Arsenal are to turn things around, they need to improve on the way they think.
I mean,
But
I
the real
was
question
really,
is, does
I'm
the
not an Arsenal
management
fan,
want
but I
more?
was not impressed
Do
with
they
that,
want
with
more?
the statement that, Arteta made. Like I said, they were favorites going into that game. Yes, games have a different, there are some times that you plan for a certain type of game, and then when the ref blows kickoff, the game goes a completely different way than what you
Takes
expect.
a different dynamic.
And then you just have to try to take what you can get in that game. Yes, I understand that they played against a City team that sat back for most of the game. City were just content with the goal that they got, and then they just wanted to take the 3 points home. And at the end of the day, Arsenal kind of fought to get that 1 point, but you don't come out celebrating that 1 point. You just say, "Oh, you are disappointed to get the 1 point, or you're happy to get the 1 point, but you could have done better." You can't say that CEOs. Which CEO called you? Which CEO? You should mention name.
I
Which CEO called
think
him? You should tell us which
people
CEO
are
called
actually
him.
asking
The
too much
CEOs
of
were
Ateta.
calling him.
Pepe Marotta.
Maybe
People are
maybe
asking too
country
much from
presidents too
Ateta.
were calling him.
The
President Trump
the
called him
Arsenal
and said,
board, the
Ateta,
Arsenal
you
board
tried.
is okay with what he's doing. Like they are just okay with him
I
qualifying
can't
for
hear
the
you,
Champions League.
JD. Are you on mute?
The Arsenal board is okay with Ateta
Can
making
you
the
hear JD?
Champions League. Yeah,
I
can
can't
you
hear
hear me?
JD. Is
Are
your
you on
audio
Can
on
you
mute?
hear me
mute?
now? I am not on. Can you hear me?
No, I can't. We can't hear you.
Mika, before we get JD back, Manchester United also won Chelsea by one. Though there was an advantage of having a Chelsea players early.
Did everybody
Do you
call
think that is
Amorim
enough
as well?
motivation to get them back and see how the season can?
Man United. Well, the short answer is no, because apart from the first game against Arsenal, where the performance was actually quite nice, when you want to judge a team, even if results are not going well, you look at their performance and say, okay, this team is actually doing a few things right. They are doing this, they are doing this, they are doing that. They only need the results. And once they get 2 or 3 results consecutively, they may be able to build on that, and then morale goes up, and then they start picking up more wins. But if you take out that performance against Arsenal in the first game, I've seen them against what's the game that I saw again? I think it was Burnley. I've seen them against Chelsea. I've seen them in one other game. I've seen about
Fulham.
three of their games, and to be very honest, I was not impressed. So I would say that win was more of a one-off than it's not something that would raise my expectation and make me think, oh, okay, Man United might be back. Maybe if they win like 3-4 games more, it might improve their morale, and then the club, the players start believing in themselves, and then they go ahead to do more. But at this point, I think it's too early.
Right.
I think it's too early.
I think I share your set. Definitely, I think the attack better. Get the addition of Moa. I generally attack wise. That's less chances around. So away from that, there is something about Newcastle. I'm trying pinning pin a name on it. I think they've lost something. The loss of Isak.
They've lost Isaac now. Isaac is
Completely they've lost.
something.
But I don't, because I know I used to rate them highly last season. I remember we had a prediction last season that I predicted that they were going to make the cut for Champions League. But this season, this time around, I don't have that much confidence in them. And this is beyond just the loss of Isak. I don't know. I don't know if you shared.
Yeah, obviously Champions League was always going to be difficult this season. Because even though they did well last season, one would expect that one of the teams that messed up last season would probably pick up, and I'm referring to one of Tottenham and Man United, would probably pick up to try to take one of those slots. And then you still have someone, a team like Aston Villa, even though they are not doing well this season. But at the start of the season, you would expect that Aston Villa would be somewhere around that area also trying to fight. But Newcastle themselves have not really given a good, account of themselves this season. Personally, I think they are lacking a creative midfielder. I think that midfield is too full of brawn. It's too, yeah. They have Gidigbo, what I call Gidigbo players, Gidigbo midfielders. That's one. So I think that they rely too much on cleaning it out in midfield and then capitalizing on the pace that they have in attack. But I also think that since Woltemad arrived, they've struggled a bit with his style. Woltemad, because of his frame, he gives you this impression when you see him the first time that he could be more of a target man or a poacher that you just want to keep in the box and then load the ball to. But if you look at him really closely, you would notice that he's actually good when he has the ball at his feet. And because of that, he likes to drop deep, try to link up play, try to hold up and then release his play. I think that the Newcastle squad are not quite used to that style, to that is style of play yet. If they do get used to it early, they might be able to do some magic. But at this point, they are struggling. If they can get a creative midfielder in the January window, it would help them a lot.
Leave later at that.
Hopefully.
For now, I want us to talk about something that stresses. Inka, what is
We must
happening?
talk about
What's happening?
Simeone before we leave this place tonight. We must talk about Simeone before we
Definitely,
leave.
we would get there. But before that, I want to know what's happening.
Yeah,
with
go
Inter.
fast.
What's going? Is it early season weakness or how should we? What's happening?
Well,
A lot happening.
it depends on how you look at it. Inter has one of the best squads in Serie A, no doubt about it. But Inter also has one of the most experienced coaches in Serie A. And in fact, I'll
You
say
mean
he's the
one of
most
the least experienced?
sorry, one of the most, I wanted to say one of the least experienced coaches in
Sorry.
Serie A. In fact, I wouldn't say one of the most, I would say he's the least experienced coach in Serie A, because coming into the season, he had only 13 or 14 Serie A games under his belt. So that is always going to be a very big factor. I laugh at people that always say, oh, a particular team can play without a coach because they are so used to each other. Coaching is actually very important in football. And I think that what they've lost on that hand alone is actually a lot to determine whether they will do well in this season or not. I also think that there's been a lot of the pitch noise, which the players allowed get to them at the start of the season. The club also made a number of mistakes in the transfer market. It looked like they did not have any would I say direction, or they did not have any plan. I mean, you bring in a coach hoping to continue from where Simone Inzaghi has left off, and you've brought in a Christian Kivu who plays a similar system, maybe slightly varied from Inzaghi. Inzaghi plays a 3-5-2, very fluid 3-5-2. Kivu plays more like a 3-4-2-1. Also a bit fluid, but more direct if you look at it, really closely. Now, you've brought in a coach that has done considerably well with his 3-4-2-1 at Parma, and you've structured your entire transfer window with the aim of satisfying his need to play that formation, or his desire for that, to play that formation. And then midway through the transfer market, you just scrap all plan and then go back to 3-5-2. I think it has that single decision has the capacity to derail an entire season, because you have a coach focused on one thing, and then I think you can liken it to coaches that start a season with one formation, and then because they've lost 2 or 3 games, they switch formation to something else entirely, and they start wondering why the season is going bad for them. So I think there are quite a number of factors that are affecting it at the moment. That being said, I still think the squad is experienced enough to overcome most of the challenges, at least on the field. I think that they have enough quality to overcome those challenges. Inter is not so bad that you would say you are going to a Cagliari or you are going to a Parma or a, and I mean no disrespect to these teams, but a Parma or a Verona, and then you have to worry about the fact that the coach is inexperienced or they did not have a good transfer window. Or regardless of what may have happened in the transfer market, you expect Inter to turn up and win those games. And if they win those games, then they should be up there with the teams fighting for, at the very least, top four spots. So I don't think the team is so bad that they would not, be able to overcome some of these challenges that I mentioned earlier. But I do also think that those challenges have if not managed properly, they have the capacity to derail an entire season.
I share a big contrast because I don't think you know me already. I respected that side, everything I've had to say about this. Nevertheless, like you said, I see them as an experienced side. Enough quality to navigate Parma, Cagliari, like you said. But difference now is how they handle guys big side, which did badly. They were very good on the balance of play. That very quickly they lost the tie by 4, which was largely due to Inter's goalkeeper Soma. So based on that, a lot to look for as the season progresses. I expect them to become more confident with more wins after getting bored. But as of right now, I think get everything in order early for Italy. So that aside,
Yeah,
what is your
I
prediction?
think that October, November will give us a better idea of what Inter wants to do this season. We're playing some of the top teams around that period, and I think some of them are even back to back, if I'm not mistaken. So that should give us a better idea. But I also think that they should focus more on beating the small teams. If you beat the small teams in Serie A, you're almost guaranteed top four. And I don't think that Inter will fight for the Scudetto this season. So focus on getting your top four, build again next summer.
Which is actually something Milan looks to be doing right as of right now. They are winning this ties against lowly, not so lowly Udinese, Lecce,
Yeah, but because
Bologna.
that's what guarantees you top four now. You have to beat those small teams. I mean, how many big teams do you face in the league in a season? Maybe we have the seven sisters: Inter, Milan, Juve, Napoli, Fiorentina, Atalanta, Roma. In fact, we remove one of them and maybe add Lazio. 7, 8 sisters. But it still means that you have about 12 other small to medium teams that you have to face. If you beat, let's just say in a perfect world, you beat those 12 teams. That's 36 points. Home and away. That's 72 points already. 72 points guarantees you Champions League football in Serie A. Any day. So you might even lose to those 8 teams. And then, okay, let's say there are 11 teams because you have to count yourself as well. In fact, you are part of the 8 teams. So 12 teams. If you beat those 12 teams, home and away, you are guaranteed Champions League football, even if you lose to those 8. It's only if you want to win the Scudetto that you now have to start thinking about how you can get points against those 8 teams. So that's the most important thing for Inter now. Focus on beating those small teams, and Champions League is certain next season.
Good to have you back, Samson. While we were discussing Inter and how they started the season, not add to that the fact that Milan is overgrowing his nemesis because he used to struggle against lower sides. Not that we are so impressive teams, also, but going into the start of this season, we are looking for how longer do you think that would hold on, Samson?
Yes.
Yes, we can. GC first.
If you ask me, I would say to an extent you are right. Christian Kivu wants to play 3-4-2-1, obviously. But I don't think that any coach that knows how to play 3-4-2-1 would particularly find it difficult to play 3-5-2 or any other formation for that matter. That's one. Number two is I don't think that Inter struggles this early season have been down to formation. I think it's just lazy analysis to say that it's the formation that is the problem. I think that there are other factors that come into play, psychological factors. Some of those players, it is now clear now that some of those
That
players,
seems to be the major
and
problem,
I'm not
the
talking, no,
psychological aspect.
I'm not talking about you didn't hear me mention Champions League final. I didn't say anything about Champions. I'm talking about the things that happened after Champions League final. I mean, it is now clear that Pavard wanted to leave. Akan Çalhanoğlu throughout the summer was neither here or there. Marcos Thuram was misbehaving at some point as well. So we have a number of factors within that team that were misbehaving, so to speak. That's one. Defensively, we've always been fragile, even under Inzaghi. And I think that because Kivu likes to play 3-4-2-1. That would have given him two destroyers in front of the defense, and that would have allowed him protect the defense more. But even in a 3-5-2, there are solutions that you can find that would allow you. Milan uses a 3-5-2 sometimes now. Why are they not conceding? So it's not a formation problem. Sorry, what did you say? Of course, he did not get the players that he wanted. He wanted Lukman, he wanted Kone, but those were players for a 3-4-2-1. Now he has a 3-5-2. Those players would particularly not. They may do well, but it is not guaranteed that they would do as well as they would have done in a 3-4-2-1. So he has a team. He has a group of players that have played 3-5-2 for the last 5-6 years. And you cannot tell me that those players do not understand the system that they are playing now, because it's the formation that they've been playing since Conte. Well, like I told Samson before you joined, sorry, like I told Ahmed rather before you joined, I think the problem is broken into many different parts. There's the transfer window problem. There's the psychological problem. It's a lot. It's hard to really pinpoint what the problem is. But at the same time, I also think that the problem may be overblown, because I don't think that Inter lacks quality or experienced players that they would not be able to do well this season. That they will be holding on to excuses like, oh, the transfer market did this, or the transfer market did that. You still have a lot of quality to beat teams like Cagliari or Parma or even Udinese. Sorry? Okay. So players like Achebi, Mkhitaryan, De Vrij, and maybe to a very smaller extent, Akan Çalhanoğlu. Inter fans did not want them out because they lack quality. We wanted them out because, one, some of them were too old and it was time to move on. Achebi is 37, for example. De Vrij should be 35 or thereabout. Mkhitaryan should be about 35 or 36. Those players should have moved on because they are old. They are not players that should be starting. In fact, if it was left to me, I would say it's okay for them to stay as long as they do not have central roles or critical roles in the team. Players do not just lose their quality now, but players get old. Sometimes players cannot, perform to the level that they normally perform to in terms of, say, maybe fitness or what they can give. I mean, last season, Mkhitaryan complained that was the most difficult season of his life because of how many games he had to play. So these players are old. It's not a matter of lack of quality. It's not like they are bad. You cannot say that a player that has played about a 15-year career suddenly became bad in the 14th year. It's not possible now. So it's not like the players lost quality. We just felt like they were old and they needed to be moved on. And I still feel that way. But even when you look at it from that angle, let's even say they've lost quality. Let me agree with you that they've lost quality. Have they lost so much quality that they cannot beat a Verona? It's like you're looking at it from the perspective of two big teams playing each other, forgetting the fact that you are playing more of small teams in the league. Over a 38-game season, you are going to play more of the small teams. You get to play Milan twice in the league. You get to play Napoli twice in the league, Juve twice in the league. Let's even agree that you lose all of that. We don't have quality like those teams. But teams like Cagliari, Verona, Udinese, what's the other team? Genoa, Sampdoria is not in the league at the moment, but Como and the like. You cannot tell me that we do not have the quality to dispatch those teams. It's not possible.
But right now, we do not have
You
the
can, do
quality.
you do you think
We
Chibu
do
will
not
be
have
sacked?
the mental strength to defeat those teams. We are not
I think it will
mentally
be.
equipped.
I think they can sack him, but the results would have to be really, really bad. If we go
What,
I don't
by,
see
what
you can
qualifies
sack
as bad?
Kibu anytime.
well, at the moment, I don't think it's that bad.
I said
I
what
think,
qualifies as bad?
yeah, I'm just thinking. I think for one, he would have to do maybe one win in five, for example. Maybe if he does one win in five and he loses like three of those games, they might consider sacking him. But I'm also looking at Marotta's history as a CEO. He hardly sacks
He has
coaches.
never sacked a coach.
Sometimes, in fact, when the coaches are messing up, he waits for the season to end, has faith on to the end. But obviously, the stakes are much more higher. And I'm not saying Juve is a smaller club, but the stakes are much more higher for Inter right now because of the kind of season that they had, last season, in terms of the revenue that they got and what have you. They cannot afford not to qualify for the Champions League next season or this season. That's next season. So if it looks like that is not going to happen again, I think Marotta will pull the club.
I do not
Yes,
agree
sir.
though.
Who
I
is
do
in the
not
top
agree
right
with
to take over?
I do not
Definitely
agree with that
Fabregas.
analysis. The fact is that
Definitely
No,
Fabregas.
the Fabregas
can
cannot
you hear
even
me?
come middle of season. The only
Can
thing,
you
the
hear
only
me?
player, the only person I'm thinking about now, although I think it's going to be a very big risk, will be Luciano Spalletti. Obviously he's had a stint with us previously, and there's the formation problem because he doesn't play three at the back. But he looks like the best fit in terms of someone that understands Serie A, someone that has won the league as well, someone that knows the environment as well, and someone that can be contacted at a short notice and would actually consider coming. Whether Spalletti would want to come is a different case entirely because I don't think he was happy with how it went the last time he was our coach, how we ended things with. But is the only one I'm thinking about right now that might be possible. Although I don't think Kivu will be sacked. I think he will do just enough to qualify for Champions League.
Speaking of coaches now, there is one fraudulent coach that is annoying me at the moment. Diego Simeone.
Yeah, I've told Ahmed that we must talk about him today.
That man
we
has
must
won one match in five.
we must talk about him today.
He's the highest paid
Was saved
coach
was saved by Juliano Alvarez.
and he was saved by Julian Alvarez. I don't understand. Is there a life contract with Atletico Madrid or is the club that scared of moving on? I don't get it at this point. He has overstayed his welcome.
I think it might have to do with fear. Fear. There's something I call fear of the unknown. You know, you don't know what's going to happen when you
La
sack him.
Liga is not that difficult that Atletico Madrid will
No,
not make
no,
top.
no. I want you to consider context. Someone posted a tweet, I think it was a few weeks ago, and did a list of Atleti's position since when they got back from Liga B or
Really?
whatever
Yes.
their segunda is called. Since when they came from segunda to Serie A, did a list, did
In La
a
Liga.
a summary of their positions. I think it was like 10th, 7th, and then they finished fourth once. It was just basically mid-table to fourth. The highest finish must have been fourth, if I remember very well. And then Simeone came over, and then since then they never finished below fourth, if I remember very well. In fact, they won the league twice. They didn't finish below fourth. They got to the Champions League final twice. They've won the Europa League
Europa League
twice.
twice.
They've won Copa del Rey. So you're thinking, man, this guy
they
is
won the
like our Lord
UEFA
and
Super
personal
Cup
Savior, Jesus Christ.
twice. They won the
If we
UEFA
sack
Super
this
Cup
guy,
twice.
But
if we sack
they were
this
not
guy,
spending this much pre-Simeone.
exactly, and that's another. But you can also make the argument that it is Simeone that allowed them to be able to spend this money because if he
Every
did not achieve
summer,
those
He
sporting
made he
results,
earned the money.
if he
He
did
earned the
not achieve
money,
those sporting
definitely.
results, they would not be able to spend. But the only problem that I have, like I always say with Simeone, is when he talks about clubs that spend more than Atleti, as if it's one big disadvantage. I mean, if you take away the PSGs, Man Cities, in fact, Real Madrid is starting to join the Sapa club small, small, if you think about it,
yes,
because
they are
they're doing
targeting
a
free
lot of
transfers
accounting
now.
when it comes to when it comes to transfers, chasing free transfers and the like. So if you take PSG, Man City out, I can't think of any other, maybe Kumu with their little resources these days. If you take those clubs out, it's hard to find clubs that spend as much as Atleti.
Honestly,
If you ask
every
me,
summer Simeone is always doing point and kill.
now as if he's calling for catfish.
He
Let me
earns whatever he wishes.
He will just be signing and
The
selling,
team
signing,
go
signing, signing. By December, the season is over.
It's crazy. And
By
in previous
December,
seasons, at this stage of the season, at least he used to do well in previous seasons. And then around December, he would just start messing up, and then he'll pick up maybe
Last
around
season
March.
there was a point he was at the
Yeah, if I remember very
yeah,
well,
yeah, in the beginning, in the
we made an
beginning,
argument for him last season that he might actually win the league last season, only for him to
because
mess up.
Barca and Madrid were not consistent either.
uh But this season, he has not even. In fact, I don't understand.
One win in five. I don't know.
And
That guy's
like One said something about his style that the moment he decided to abandon his Boko Haram football and decided to start playing tiki taka, or he wanted to play a more expansive style of football. That's when he started having problems, and I agree with that to an extent. I think he allowed the
I
noise to affect him.
personally, I feel they are decent coaches that can at least, if they might not be able to win the league, they would keep Atletico Madrid in top four if they sack this man. It's at this point, and he has a way of blackmailing the media, the fans when they
If
interview
they
him.
can go for someone like Oliver Glasner, I think Glasner can do top four in in La Liga without problem.
The
That's
Villarreal coach too is.
something that has gone a little under the radar. Alonso has done 6 from 6 right now. He's currently do you think he can go all the way?
Let him face Barca first.
Alonso has been playing some around football. Sure you know.
I mean, I'm probably just like Cass is our
Even
resident
Pep,
Arsenal hater. I'm probably
who
the
is
person that
Alonso
you
not
call
to play
resident
around
Barca
football when
hater
Pep
in this
is
group.
playing?
But I still think
Alonso
that
has been playing
until
some
Real
around
Madrid beat
football.
Barca, you cannot say they are winning anything. That
Because
Barca style is still going to
if
be a
you ask
problem for them.
if you ask
Do,
me,
do they have to beat Barca to lay claim
somewhat
to the title?
because I didn't expect to have it
They need
in
to
the
beat
first
Barca
place.
out.
And
They need
funny
to
enough,
beat Barca.
Do they
in
have
a
to
way
beat
that
Barca before you
he's
consider
actually
any
not
real
using
contenders for the
the
title?
guys we all expected he would depend on. You understand? He has integrated Adagula, the Argentine kid. You understand? These guys that
Master
so I think they're doing right. So far, if he
He
continues
should
on
play
this way,
Barca
I think
first.
that
They are playing Atletico Madrid
all
this
right.
weekend.
Let's show.
Let him
They
beat
should beat
Simeone first.
Atletico Madrid.
If he beats Simeone,
They should beat
then he
Atletico
will
Me-
Madrid.
be playing for
Simeone is
Barca.
not even this thing for me because Simeone
They
is
are
not
not
even
ready if they
serious this
cannot
season.
beat Atletico.
But that
It
El
means they are not
Clasico,
ready if they cannot beat
if he
Atletico.
beats Real Barca first leg, then I know that they mean business. I know that they've done well. That's not to
Do
take
they have to beat
anything away
Barca
from
to win
him.
the La Liga
But I
title?
still think that all of the games that they've won are games that you would expect Real Madrid to win. I mean, they are one of the best. If you count the top two teams in La Liga every year, Real Madrid will always be there. So you'd expect them to beat the Real Sociedads, the what have you. But against Barca is a different kettle of fish. So let's see how they turn up against Barca. If they win against Barca, then I'm probably going to sit up and say, okay, it's time to start looking at Alonso on a deeper level. But I
What
think
if
they'll
they win
struggle
Barca and lose
against
the La
Barca.
Liga title in the end?
Well, we'll wait and see.
You just
Inka, I
pointed
think
at
we should.
some weekend mentioned the Madrid derby. Also in Italy, we have Juve Atlanta coming up this weekend. We also have Milan Napoli
Milan
coming up
Napoli.
this. What do you see?
Milan Napoli, I hope for our sake that it ends in a draw.
Both teams will lose.
Although Allegri is a master when it comes to games like that, so anything can happen. Also, I think
Conte
that
has the number over you.
yes, that's true. But Allegri is very good when it comes to games like that. And I also think that regardless of what some of Allegri's fans will say, I think that for the first not the first time, well, first time in a long time, Allegri actually has a team that might be able to play the style he wants to play. Whether he has that quality, especially in defense, is what I don't know yet. But to soak pressure and hit people on the counter, he has players that can hit people on the counter like crazy in that team. And against any team, I'll bet in favor of that Milan team because that team can destroy you on the counter. You might think you're having the upper hand at the moment, and then before you know what's going on, you have very fast players that can. If all of them are on their day, because there are sometimes that they would play and you have a Santiago Jimenez just playing rubbish, or Pavlovich might make a stupid mistake, and stuff like that, stupid individual mistakes. But collectively, with the way that Allegri wants to play, with the team that he has set up, that team should be able to play the way he likes to play. He has a decent defense. I don't think it's world class, but decent defense. He has the Modric. He has two workhorses in Rabiot and Fofana, or it could even be Loftus-Cheek. And then if he wants to play a Leao, Pulisic at the back of Jimenez, or he wants to play more defensively and play Loftus-Cheek there and Fofana in midfield, he can do all kinds of stuff with that squad. So I think that they have players to cause any team trouble in Serie A. The fact that they're also playing one game a week is a very good advantage. But we'll see how Milan Napoli goes. Juve, Atalanta on the other hand, Atalanta under jury has not really convinced. But they've integrated Ademola Lookman into the squad now. So at least that should count for something. At least he's a quality player any day, anytime. So that should count for something. But I still think that Juve at home will be a tough nut for them. They are not as good as they used to be under Gasperini. So I think Juve will take that one. For Atleti, I don't know who's at home for Atleti and Real Madrid. If it's Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid will take the day. Atleti have not been convincing this season. If it's at the Wanda Metropolitano, then Atleti might just get something because obviously there's that derby ginger.
Let's keep our fingers to see how it's all. I don't know. Is there something else you can talk about
I think we've covered basically almost everything. I don't think there are any major matches to look forward to in the Premier League this weekend. Any big matches off the top of my head, I can't remember anyway. I've not had time to really look at the fixtures. Only thing I want to add is we're hoping that the season goes well for my team. Let's hope that
Yeah,
we
of
can make
course.
Champions League. Even if it's Champions, you guys are fighting for Scudetto now. Let us get Champions League at least. Let's get Champions League, I beg. We need that Champions League like crazy.
Well, that's I don't see guys that
No, if you
coming
think
into the
about
season
it,
that
any
are
team that
focused
has
on
played apart from Juventus, any team that has played one game a week for the last maybe 5 years has ended up winning the league. So it's your turn now. Go and do your thing
I hope that
and
remains
come
the
back.
case.
Our look up.
And come back. So we'll see. Although I think Napoli are outright favorite. I just think that Milan are really close
I
behind.
think we
But
need to
I
beat
think Napoli.
Napoli this weekend to dent their psychology. But I think Allegri will approach that match very conservatively. It might be a very
The thing
boring.
with Allegri is Allegri
You
knows that.
you can equally expect that from Coach.
Well,
They
Allegri
came
knows
from a
that
similar approach.
Milan's psyche is still a bit fragile, and a loss would actually be detrimental for that team's morale. So Allegri's plan would be not to lose.
Yeah,
Regardless of what, do not lose, because if they lose, it might take that team a step back again in terms of psychology and what have you. But for Napoli can lose at this point in their projects now and still feel like, oh, we are strong, we'll pick up in the next game. But with Milan, you are not particularly sure. If they lose, you don't know what's going to happen in the next game. You then have to start wondering, okay, can they pick up? What's going to happen? What should we expect? But if Milan lose again to Napoli, then I'll start writing them off for Serie A, for Scudetto, because if you lose 2 games before game match day 19, there's a chance that you might lose another one. Statistically, Serie A winners have not lost more than 4 games in a season, at least before they won the league. So you have to avoid like three defeats before match day 19. And then from match day 19, you can risk maybe one or two. But we'll see how it goes.
hopefully.
Any
I
other
want us to beat
additions?
Napoli. For me, nothing. It's been an interesting chit chat with you guys. To our fans at home, we appreciate your support. We
And your
appreciate your
patience.
patience. We hope you enjoyed our snippets from the Italian tour of the stadium. We hope to bring you more later in the future. For now, we say thank you and God bless.
Ciao, ciao.